It's why we fall in love with reading, right? It's the feeling when you get so into the world and so into the story that you want to either chuck the book across the room because you can't believe that that thing just happened, or the minute the book ends, you're just like, no, it's over? Really? It's those books that we finish in 2 days that we kind of ignore the rest of life for. Um, those are the books that we love to read. But when it's time to write a book like that, how does that happen? You guys, when I was writing my debut novel, it was called Do Not Iron at first. It turned into the CROMWELL Rules. I'm so glad that that happened. When I was writing this book, I didn't really know a whole lot of what I was doing. I totally pantsed it during NaNoWriMo. That was a mistake. I'm glad that I had the words on the page, but I didn't have any structure. I didn't have anywhere to take it. And so once NaNoWriMo was done, I took a really long break because I didn't know what to do next. Then when I hopped back in, I realized that I had a mess on my hands. And then it felt like I had wasted my time, but I still really wanted to tell the story. The story wouldn't let me go. So I hired a book coach. It was really expensive. It was worth it. I learned a lot. But then I was like, dang, what? How can I do this? So I did what I would recommend to you is I put my reader hat on. I started reading my novel as if I were just a stranger. And suddenly I could see where it was weak, where it needed to be fixed. And here we ended up having an addicting read. All of a sudden, people are telling me, Ania, I couldn't put it down. It was like 2 days of straight reading. And I wanted to share with you my thoughts on why that is. Why is the CROMWELL Rule such an addicting read? What is it about it that has those components? So, if you don't mind, I'd like to teach you how to write an addicting story. You guys, it's not enough to just have cliffhanger sentences on the edge of your chapters. You need more structure. You need something that's guiding your story. And I actually kind of unlocked this lesson, and it's backed by, tons of experience as a reader, but also as my own reading from Lisa Cron's Wired for Story, that I'm going to now present what I think needs to be in your story to make it addicting. So adrenaline makes everything memorable. You guys, I went whitewater rafting in Costa Rica twice. And the experiences were the same, where before you jump into the river, you kind of freak out because it can go any way, right? Like you can get tossed over the edge or tossed into the rapids very quickly. You could, I don't know, so many things could go wrong, right? But what I find really interesting is that as we were going into the river, there's no like start, right? Like you go in the middle of the rapids. You just literally like jump in. And so you need to have some conflict. So in my life, it was, I want to not flip over in the raft or drown or die, right? I need to get to the next section of the river, but the only way to that section is through the rapid. I was presented with the opportunity to grow. So I had to listen to my tour guide, who was the voice of experience, but I also had to confront my own fears, right? So I had somebody externally guiding me through the process, but I had to go through my own internal transformation in order to go through these rapids. And then what I thought was so cool is on this tour, we always kind of like had a chance to catch a breather after strong rapids. And so I thought, wow, that's so true, that in a book where we have a chance to kind of reflect and think about the thrilling thing that just happened, or the big scene, or the scene where we didn't know how it was going to resolve, if it was going to resolve, sure enough, the stakes are being raised, so it's like getting even worse. But in all of that, there's a chance to breathe. And so let's look at these in detail. So in order to create an addictive story, you must have conflict. and the conflict should keep getting more difficult to overcome. We want to see if your character is determined enough to get what he or she wants, but you have to keep in mind that what he or she wants might not be what they need. So think about what your character wants more than anything in the world. But then what would your character really hate if it happened, right? Because it's going in opposition of them. So you have to think of like, okay, they want to cross this rapid, but it would really suck if the raft just like turned over right now. I would not want that to happen. It would slow down my journey, but it would be conflict. And I'm sure that somebody watching from the side of the river would be like, I wonder what happens next. All right. Give your character a way to grow and mess up and then grow some more. So you have to give your character a flaw and let your readers watch the self-sabotaging behavior. Like the character has to keep making mistakes. Remember, the character doesn't know that what they're doing, or maybe they do know, but for the most part, they're not going to know what's going on. Like why is life working out the way it is for them? It could be external, right? It could be self versus world or self versus society. You have different types of conflict. However, you have to keep in mind that the character doesn't mean to be messing up his or her life. Intention is not the same as impact. So your character has to, in many ways, be aware for the first time and become aware of how even their good intentioned actions could be working against them, how they could be leading to life circumstances that they don't want to repeat the next time. And so the next time a conflict like that happens, they're going to have to choose differently. And in that way, they transform. And then we have a character who is deep. He has depth. We want to read about a character who is complicated, right? And so if you have a character like that going through a conflict that they really don't want to be going through, your reader is going to keep turning the pages because there's going to be so many like, oh, honey, right? It's like a bad train wreck. And so that wasn't a good example. I hate train wrecks. They're really scary. Ultimately, we have to see a character grow. All right, so as I was saying, like on the rapids, you have to provide a chance for your character to breathe, recalibrate, and figure out where to go next. So you often have to decrease tension so that you can add more. My developmental editor, especially I was writing the sequel, Breaking the Rules, she said, okay, you haven't put Marley into it enough yet. Like you have to put her in it so that you can take her out. And then it's kind of like a puppeteering thing where we have to decrease tension in order to add more. Because if you think about it, if you're only adding tension, right, then it's exciting, and you could do that. We often see the story map going in this direction. However, if we dip it like this, right, give a chance to breathe and then increase, then you're allowing your reader to catch a breather, just like you're allowing your character to reflect. So you can't just put your characters through pain, you have to make the pain matter. And it's in these moments that we can actually show the character's mindset shifting. So here's a little checklist for building a captivating character. Give your character flaws, give your character conflict, give your character plenty of chances to mess up. Sorry, I made her all hers. I didn't realize that. So feel free to change them to hims as well. Especially if your character thinks he is doing the right thing. Intention is not the same as impact. Give him chances to catch his breath, reflect, and refocus, and then give him moments of redemption. So the ultimate glow up. Now, if you really enjoyed this lesson and you would like more like it, I love to teach what I know, and then when I don't know what I'm talking about, I find an expert who does. So what's included in the Quill and Cup membership? First of all, you become a hedgie, okay? Quill, hedgehog, hedgie, you are part of the sisterhood where we sharpen our quill with lessons on craft. So we understand that we don't know everything, and it's up to us to keep learning. And it's where we fill our cup. So lessons on mindset, so that any self-sabotaging thoughts of our own are no more. My favorite thing ever is giving fear, uncertainty, and doubt the middle finger. So all lessons, webinars, workshops, all prickles, what we call our virtual writing sessions via Zoom, which we call our kitchen table. Pups, pop-up pickles, pop-up prickles, accountability, your BFF, so your best feedback friend, or you might call them critique partners. We have a sisterhood via Slack. That's where everything kind of goes down, where you have access to resources and reading recommendations. And it's where you can have more intimate conversations with your writing buddies. And then access to me, published author and coach. And I cannot wait to meet you and see you at the table. Your first prickle unlocks the trial week. So if you'd like to unlock that, go ahead and visit www.quillandcup.com, where you can then click join today. If you already know that you want to be part of us, or at the top, you can click join the waitlist, and then we will get you in a prickle, sister. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out and learning with me today. We will see you at the table. Bye.